Thank you again, Guruji. Welcome on the show, and it's an honor. It's an honor to have you on the show, and I'm so blessed, feeling blessed because I got a chance to actually attend the events where you were playing. First was the concert, and second, I actually was able to attend your performance. So it's beautiful and magical, and I'm like again, I'm saying this. I'm honored to be here, and uh, I would just like you to introduce yourself to the audience, but what you do.
First of all, Abhishek Saab, it is rather my honor and pleasure that you have found me worthy for this kind of engagement with your art. And it is my sheer delight that you are here and your energy and your presence is a blessing to this place we call Guruji. So thank you so much. You are here from Montreal. You are our guest. So my very heartfelt welcome to you. And what you have asked me to do is perhaps the greatest conundrums that I have in life. To really be able to introduce myself, I first need to find out who I am. And the moment I believe, I start to believe that perhaps this is me, it does not last very long, that understanding of myself. To an onlooker, I might be somebody who likes playing an instrument called sitar and just another human being trying to find some beauty, some purpose, some meaning in this life. And I'm rather blessed that through that, in that pursuit, I have something that I can actually share, and which adds maybe a tinge of beauty, happiness to this world and people life. I'm grateful for that.
So that's what I liked, or probably rather got attracted. The humbleness you have, the you have so much of talent, so much of wisdom, and but you're still so humble, yet so poised in your character when you talk, when you speak, when you teach. The way you're like you address your students, it's beautiful. It's nothing less than I when I attended the session at the lake, my post was like nothing less than magic. So like I felt this is what probably heaven looks like or heaven sounds like. So thanks again for that experience, and uh, it's beautiful the way you're doing, and it's an amazing space that you have created for people, which is called Google. I simply love it.
It needs certain kind of perspective that can see that and that can understand and appreciate that. Kudos to you. In regards to being humble, I don't think existence has allowed me any other choice. And also about my students, I think it's another blessing that I have in this life that I somehow have the best of the students and a very dedicated bunch of students who actually brings the best out of me. And sometimes I also have to wonder and marvel at somebody's generosity and kindness in thinking about the human being who is least worthy of being a teacher, but still thinking of me as a teacher is itself a great marker of the people I have in my life.
Wow. Wow. I love the way again you talk, Guruji, and the wisdom you have. So I was actually listening to one of your videos where you were addressing students from a university, and you talked so many things about starting from rags, sur, tal, le, and so on, and multiple different things. So I believe who is watching at least they would know the basics of what music is, what at least these rocks and all. But the perspective you show is like completely different. So I was so astonished by the way you were addressing, the way you spoke different things, and I generally have this podcast when I do it. It's in a flow. Like I don't generally, define questions. and do it. But when I was like, okay, I need to do this podcast with Guruji, I'm like, okay, I should know basics of music. I should know, okay, whatever I should be asking about. So I have so many questions in mind. I'll basically, start with, you talked about music, and music is, you also mentioned that music is something that you can, uh, even though there's no rag, even though there's no uh, tal, but there's still music, but it's not silence. So what do you mean? I'm like, as a newcomer, or let's say uh, as a person who does not have any knowledge about it, how does that person understand this? That you know, this is music, still music, but there's no tal, there's no sur, there's no rag, there's nothing. But it's not even silent. So,
Allow me to gather my thoughts on this. And let's see what music stands for.
mhm.
Music stands for celebration of life.
Yes, yeah.
For everybody, regardless of if they want to understand the music technically, if they want to make it a practical thing in their life, if they want to approach music as a musician or not.
Mhm,
But
mhm.
it just makes any experience of life more celebrated.
More celebrated.
Not only in the sense of happiness, but you have to understand this, which is actually the real definition of celebration, that you can actually enjoy more.
Mhm.
You can actually become a part of that whole flow of experience, and you don't feel that this is against your own wish or desire.
Mhm.
In stages where something is happening but you don't accept it, and you feel that you are hindering the flow, you feel unpleasant. You don't like things. You feel that, okay, maybe life should have been a different. Now, in a predicament where you're sad, but you also have a very beautiful sad song to enjoy your sadness. Are you not enjoying or celebrating the experience of sadness as well?
Yeah.
Music has this power to transform your experience into a very optimistic scale. Okay? Music is perhaps the greatest hope the humanity as a collective species has.
Nice.
It's the most hopeful thing, because even if you, what music does is that it connects you to this, the absolute art which is ever so present in this existence. Immediately, you have no chance to stand against it. The moment you hear something beautiful, it has a very lasting impact on you. If you hear a marching band, you will start marching. If you will hear a choir sing at a church, you will feel like you are having a communion with the divinity. The moment you will hear maybe a national anthem or something like that, you will develop some feelings of patriotism. And if you will listen a distant flute and something, that will make you go back into a nostalgia or something like that. Now, with that understanding, what is in you that perceives music? Is your sheer ability to make a difference between silence and sound.
Okay.
Because in a progression where sound and energy evolves, first thing is absolutely silence. Also mind it, the last thing is also silence. But when it's not really very well groomed and evolved, there's all this static and noise. And when it has a deeper relationship with the silence, with that silence perhaps, it becomes music. Okay. Silence is a very integral part of music, and music is a very integral part of silence. But to a perceiver, initial stages of perception relies upon the material aspect of music.
Mm-hmm.
So you will say, okay, I can feel the waves of the sound energy, as if you have a big dance party. The music that you will hear will have a physical impact on you. Even if you will not hear it, you can still feel the vibration.
Yeah.
That's the first way to perceive music. Second one we just talked are the emotional aspects, where you feel a certain way by listening to a certain kind of note, a melody. You feel a kind of there's a deeper emotional message in connection of notes. That's a little bit more refiner way of understanding music, a little bit more advanced way of understanding music, where you have to really become a soul. You have to really become a human being, more than just a body. Then comes a point where it's not just the human emotions, but music becomes an inscription or some divine sort of a message, which makes you feel something, but you can never pinpoint or put a finger on what you're feeling. But you get a sense of it. You listen to something very profound, it creates something in you, something very impactful, something very strong, yet you're not really able to really connote that in words, convey that in words. You know why? Because suddenly you have experienced the farthest extent of music, which is not in the words. Therefore, you cannot ever explain it to somebody that what you felt. But you're feeling something which is beyond your mind. The moment you're not in your mind, but you're feeling music in the soul, you don't rely upon the sound. You are actually talking to the soul, which is present in the energy, in the sound. There's an intangible, abstract quality to it, which is the absolute truth in it. That is resonating to your absolute truth in you, which does not depend upon ears. So forget about sound, notes, vibrations, which even does not depend upon your mind, because it is not talking to a conditioning that, okay, if you feel sad, these are the notes or these are the colors you will feel. It is talking to the silence in you. So communion between that silence and this silence is the highest experience of it.
Okay. Can I ask a question here about, let's say, just related to this? When you talk about this silence, let's say, can a deaf person in that case feel music?
Oh yeah.
In a perspective.
Yeah. This is a very. It's not a question of a very. We can make it very, like, there can be a virtue of spirituality and value of truth spirituality in it as well. But even in a very normal material plane, a deaf person feels music.
Okay.
The irony is, the greatest composer ever and the greatest pianist ever, and the greatest melodies that ever came out of a human being, for example, you know this one? Or perhaps, na 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 na. This is from one man called Beethoven. And you know what was unfortunately very special about him? He was deaf. And he is considered by everybody who understands music as the greatest composer of all times. Wow. So music is not really a sanction of your mind and ears. It does not rely upon a sanction or a choice of your ears.
To your soul, connects to your...
There's so much more we can never even talk about.
Yeah, okay.
We can never even talk about.
Okay.
It is a thing that you feel, and that's it.
Makes sense. And you talked about in your lecture how Samveda, like we, in our ancient scriptures and everything, we had one particular section, Ved itself, called Samved, dedicated to music, and that's how it inspired generations over generations, and people have got to learn so much from it. And I wanted to listen or hear more about it, but I think due to time constraints, you just specified on the little things. So one thing, if you have to, bring or the valuable information from somewhere, how would you add?
What I can say, which is even better, is that it's not the Samveda that inspired.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's the music that inspired Samveda. And there's always so many Samveda that's happening right now, just because we have music and a thing like music in this existence. There's nothing more precious, more beautiful, and more valuable than music. And most people will disagree, and they have their own ways to think about it.
Yeah.
But when I say music, I'm talking about a very vast realm of creativity and perhaps more and ever more subtler creativity. And nothing goes to the extent music in terms of subtleness. Okay. Everything else, all other art forms, they are very material in nature. And I will not shy in saying they're material in nature. You need raw materials, you need comprehension, you need storage for that, you need experiences that has to be written down. Music happens in a very, it's not even air. Like if you reduce this whole existence into this very thin sheet of consciousness, now on the other side of it, even beyond that, where it is actually sharing this shore with nothingness, that is where music sits, with its legs in the ocean of nothingness, on those banks, half submerged in nothingness. This beautiful entity that is still half in this existence and half in nothingness. That's what music is.
Wow, that's a very nice way to put it, and that's probably the first time I've ever heard this way of.
And I've already said, it's not really in the words.
It's not really in the words, yeah. I could already, feel that vibe already, yeah. And you talked about spirituality and music. So how, again, going in that same path, you talked about how music is, how the Veds and the got inspired. I just want to take another step to see how spirituality and music is connected.
What is spirituality? Freedom. What are we looking for? The sheer idea of looking for is looking for freedom from even looking. Okay, we are never at peace because this is a universe which acts, which is a process, which is happening.
It continues to evolve.
It is always going somewhere.
Yeah.
Okay. And we are product of that. We are always going somewhere. Spirituality just means feeling all right with all. We have never been able to make terms collectively, like majority, with the idea of just going somewhere and just disappearing. We don't have that kind of acceptance.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, any spiritual person is actually after freedom. What is music? Music exists only when you are free. For you. Music exists in this one moment. One moment. You're totally available to that. The song is playing, and if you don't pay attention, there's no song.
Yeah.
You've already missed its song.
It's a noise. Yeah. Probably a noise. Yeah.
Now, to be able to pay attention, you have to bring forth the best awareness that you have. To be aware, you need to be free of your mind. And if you're free of your mind, you're free of everything.
I was also about to come there because, there are a lot of incidents when you go to a jam. I myself have never learned music, but when I go to a jam, I just play what I feel like. But I see a lot of people who are, basically in their head that, okay, I want to do this, I want to do that, I want to play this in a certain way. But I have no idea. Again, to be honest, I have no idea about the scales. I don't have any idea about sare, gamma, pa, and whatnot. But when I play, let's say, even if I'm drumming, I just, you know, be there in that moment, enjoy that in the moment. But a lot of people actually plan it and do it. I don't know how that works, but like I've heard sometimes it's like you're more in your head rather than actually enjoying. Like, okay, I want it this way, but like, yeah, if it's a performance, yes, but sometimes just that more in the head rather than more by the soul.
One thing that I would like to see happening in my lifetime is that if we can free music of the idea of performance.
Performance, yeah.
That's where I started, and that is glorified way too much. People think there's a glory in performing and there's a glory in becoming something on the standards of society, how they perceive and will judge you, and there's a whole race.
Yeah.
That's not music.
Everyone wants to do something.
That's just another drudgery, another menial act. That's just another mechanical process that society already has ample of. So no more performing arts for me.
Okay.
Because if in your lifetime, doesn't matter how great musician you might be, but if this transition does not happen, where you say, oh, the journey wants to take me somewhere, not that I want to go somewhere. If you don't surrender to the art, and the moment you will surrender to the art, this will take you somewhere where you can't actually do things which actually has a taste of ego.
Taste of?
Ego.
Ego, okay.
Taste of you, taste of opinions, taste of impression, idea of better, less better.
Yeah.
All those things, you have to free
yourself. Yeah. I mean,
and for that,
it's not a race. Yeah, it's not.
It's not. But what is needed? Courage is needed. 99.999% music, they never realize that how powerful they are just because they have this sensitivity. They're always afraid. They're more afraid that, oh, we are sensitive. Sensitivity is it's a strength. So imagine if somebody wants to be a musician, you want to be a musician. And I tell you, the simple fact is that you can practice and you can be very good. And perhaps these are classical art forms are mostly practice driven.
Yeah.
And your success in the professional aspect of it greatly depends upon your practice. It's not like any other art, like a form of music like pop music and all, where there's several factors that play to your popularity and
how you grow.
Career. Yeah. That's different. And you will practice, and then one day you will be able to succeed, and you will be able to perform, and you will be able to teach, and you will be able to earn your livelihood through this. Very easy, simple, it happens.
Yeah.
But the truth is that if I will have to tell you that there's a possibility for you to do something even more. There's a chance for you to really live few moments in your life free of your own self. There's a chance for you to really touch the ultimate truth that is there in this existence. There's a chance for you to really be at peace with something in your life. And how does that happen? I will also tell you that you will have to sacrifice everything. Every bit of possession, idea, attachment you have to shed it without any remorse. You have to give yourself fully to this art. And then it will find you worthy of really unveiling itself.
When you say give everything, do you mean practice? Or
practice. Even for you to be able to practice, don't practice it for the sake of
just
fear.
Yeah.
That if I won't practice, I
won't learn.
I won't learn. I will be behind. I will not be. You just become it. Like what is needed is somebody who can come to me and say, or even I would like to be. I aspire to be like that. That I leave this world. I'm going. Maybe wherever there's not this world, human civilization, and go there and be with my music, and that's it.
That's
Not for you to come back better.
yeah.
It ends there. You have found it.
Wow. Okay. Yeah.
But I think this idea is forgotten. The sheer idea of devoting and just dying so that you can actually live is long diminished. And I must tell you this, very important, this idea which actually sprung up a few days back, that which is keeping you from dying is also keeping you from living.
From living, yeah, absolutely. That's I think that's a common notion that we are probably going toward, and we're just following up.
That's whatever is keeping you from dying. If I tell you have to die today, do it, and you are afraid to do it, but always the same thing in you is keeping you from actually living as well.
Also, yeah. You're half dead, half alive, just because of that.
The true life is a posthumous life, where you die first and
then live. Yeah.
And this is one of the streams where you have to die. You actually jump into this stream. Everybody who has done less than that has not done.
Okay. So one thing you mentioned, Guruji, is you mentioned less is more and more is less. So I completely sort of on the borderlines, if I have to say, but I am on the opposite side, because for me, I am involved in multiple things, but I am not good at. I'm to be honest, I straight at a face that I'm not good at anything in particular. So I had a lot of discussions even about this particular line of yours. That let's say I'm learning a rag, and it's a universe within that particular rag. You can just go deeper and deeper and deeper. But at the end of the day, I'm keeping myself away from the benefits of the love of other rags. Let's say, I'm just giving a small example. Maybe I'm wrong at this point, but I'm just saying, because of it, I'm not even looking at the other rags. So for me, what I believe, my perspective is to enjoy everything you have, and then maybe decide what you feel more connected. But when we say the concept of less is more and more is one is more, then that for me is an opposite notion. So how do I understand, or what do you feel about it? How do I understand? How do I take it?
That's your call, your choice, wherever your energy takes you. But eventuality is that first thing that we have to regard here is that we have limited lives. We don't inherit chromosomes from those ancient mythical creatures who live longer. We tend to live few hundred years, maybe 100 years at the best. In that time, there will always be a paucity of what you can do. Okay? There are two kinds of lives you can live. One is a linear life, which expands far, far, far. And one is a vertical. Okay? Especially if you want to have a profounder experience of life, you have to dig one hole.
Okay.
If you want to have a shallow experience of life, but lots of experience, you can do
multiple.
Idea is, it's a very simple thing that one person needs to understand, is that real contentment comes from knowing one thing to the best extent you can. But this game is a game of deceit. It sort of creates this idea that more little bit, maybe it's there, maybe it's there, it's there, but it's actually right here.
It's right here.
But you really have to look at it. The raga you are looking at right now, that is it. That is the only rag. Not even one rag. One note.
One note.
Or not even one note. One sound. And not even one sound. one little
Vibration.
vibration or a
Frequency.
shiver of that sound.
Yeah. Makes sense.
That's better.
Makes sense.
Only a restless being goes far from.
Makes sense.
Even if you're restless, but you know what restlessness is costing you, you will still try to sit here and look at one thing. I will look at one thing.
That's your peace.
For next 20 years. What's keeping you? If I have to get up after 4 hours, 2 hours, 1 hour, that's just a symptom of my slavery. I'm not free. What's keeping me from just sitting here until I don't die? My compulsions. What life is better? Free of compulsions or a compulsive one? Of course, the free of compulsions.
Of course.
Where do you start? You choose one thing which promises you something of that spirit, something of that divinity, something of that light, and you bow to it and say, you tell me what I need to bring forth.
Wow.
That's the life.
Beautiful.
That's the genuine way to live life. That's what we love about the chronicle, the history. As we kept records of our ancestors who have actually chosen that, and they have stood up to some substance and some value. And perhaps that's why we have everything that we cherish now.
We cherish now. Absolutely.
And it comes to us as well as a responsibility.
To
carry
it forward. To carry it forward for the upcoming generations, for the next generations, and how you actually present it to them.
So there's no less or more. There's no. Okay, just no, because there's nothing.
There's nothing. Yeah, you talked about nothingness. Nothingness and nothingness. Yeah. Beautiful. And Guruji, one thing again, I wanted to bring this up is you're so young. At this particular age, you have so much of knowledge, so much of wisdom, and as I mentioned, you have students who you're proud of, right? And you're representing Gharana, a very famous Gharana. And at this particular age, when people are still trying to figure out where to actually go ahead in life, you have surpassed things. Again, I know your answer would be a humble one, but I just wanted it to be like your true feelings. Like, how do you actually feel? Because you've been achieving, you're continuing to achieve, evolve, learn. Because I know as a kalakar, we say, you keep on improving, you keep on learning things and continuing to learn, continuing to evolve. But your personality is already well known. You go to a room, people already know you. So how do you feel about it? Like an honest, I know you're so down to earth, so humble, but I mean, how does it actually make you feel?
I don't take any of that seriously.
No, but do you feel nice sometimes that, okay, at least, I am being appreciated?
I'm grateful that something like this, which I like, even to say I represent is a very big thing. Like, I am a product of this music and this thing. And if people are valuing that in another human being, perhaps they want to taste this as well, then that's just another pointer of the world I live in. And just knowing that, okay, in this world, beauty is appreciated, I just feel very grateful. Realize. That's it. Even as a child, I initially had this little bit of a desire that, okay, people should be working hard and I should get recognized and they should see me and I played this and I played that and I played better than 50 other people.
Other people, yeah. For a sense of competition.
But human beings have got nothing. Who are you fighting against? Humans. Humans is me also being a human. What glory is in being better than 8 billion people who inhabit this planet when you have galaxies over galaxies and a universe over universes and perhaps even further. You don't know. How can you be satisfied with that?
I'm glad I share the same mindset.
I'm sure you do. I'm sure you do. I can sense that.
And I also wanted to ask, as a kid, since you mentioned, did you anytime have performance pressure or pressure of representing? Because you come from a gharana, so like, did your journey start because of a pressure to carry forward that gharana, or was it natural that you felt connected? Was it?
Just like any other human being, I think I would have some a little bit, not fear, but just a sense of overwhelm when you go to the stage and you just feel that you have to play and you have to do this and that, and a little bit more aware in the moment. But since my early on likings and all that, I have always been a person who would take on these kind of things where you have to go on the stage and talk and you have to put forth your point. So no pressure as such.
No pressure.
No pressure. I know what I'm doing. I'm trying my best. And I have great trust in this art form that if it's going to come out of me, and whatever shape it will take, it knows. And I'm nobody to even have a say over or a judgment over this is good, this is not good. Especially when it's happening through me.
Yeah.
And I think first person to actually be witness to that beauty is myself. That's the sheer idea of it happening.
Yeah.
So there's all these concepts, I just don't support them.
Okay.
These ideas, stage and performing arts and all that. No. What you should be really afraid of is that there's something very beautiful that is supposed to happen through you, but you could never provide it the best self of yourself. You can never make yourself available to that flow. That is a petrifying fear.
Yeah, it's a matter of concern. Yeah.
That is a petrifying, that's a life and death causing fear.
And how long have you been performing fiberglass?
I've been playing since the age of 16 I started.
Wow.
So now I'm 30, so 14, 15 years.
Wow.
And
beautiful journey.
It has been a beautiful journey, and I have been playing 24/7 since the first day I started. So somebody might say I have been playing for 50 years, but they only play one hour a week or day. But
since you talked about the Riyaz thing, I've heard you make your own candles.
I do, yes.
Yeah, and then you practice as per that. And the longest was like 11 hours, 12 hours?
Yeah, one I actually I recorded. I was mindful of time, was 11 hours.
Wow.
Where I sat in the night and got up in the morning.
Wow.
And yes. And my legs are jello since then, and they're still recovering, and that was 10 years back in the past.
Wow. So how like, if I have to ask, how long is your everyday reels? If you do it every day, how long is it? On a general?
I do 1 hour, 2 hours. Last few weeks I've been doing very little. Okay. Usually I spend at least 8 to 10 hours in music, and that includes lots of teaching, lots of my own riyaz, lots of composing.
And since you talked about teachings, sorry, you're saying?
Yeah, go ahead.
Since you talked about teachings, I was curious to ask, you should be so proud that you have such a nice group of students where they're already famous. Few of them are already famous.
They all can work hard. They need to do more than us.
Absolutely. Absolutely. But how does it feel? Because even though they're something outside in the market, they're still coming and they have surrendered themselves to you.
This is great art forms. Indian classical music is one such river to which all tributaries come out and fall back into.
Yeah.
And this is the power of this music. It will attract everybody who wants to go deeper and further into music. So I'm grateful that I have been part of something worthy of that kind of spreading of this art form.
Even that idea, like, of when it comes, it sounds so beautiful that, even though someone is so famous, still comes, surrenders to you because they also know, like, what sort of knowledge you have, what sort of wisdom you have, and the way you could guide them, in a perspective. Like, that's what there's a saying, everyone in life needs a guru, either spiritually, musically, in life, whatnot, to show a different perspective, a different direction. Uh, I think, like, to be honest, I'm still looking for one. Could not only about music, but just in general, someone who could guide. But for now, I feel like I'm just free flowing. Maybe there will be a point where, I'll probably there'll be a point someone who would actually guide me in a different direction, and my life would change all in all. But for now, I mean, for me, I feel that, I lack that guidance. I lack that, or I miss that guidance. But for people who have come to you, I'm pretty sure they found, what they were looking for. I've interacted with so many of your students, so I've heard so many things, so many stories, and I feel so happy for them because they found the right person to at least, uh, guide them in the right path. And yeah, beautiful, how beautiful this space is. With that, also, I was talking to one other student of you, and where we were discussing about the emotions in music. So, what 9 emotions you talked about last time? Happy, sad, anger, romance, and whatnot. But when you're also growing, there was one great discussion about it. Is not music also happy, but also makes you aggressive at one point? It brings out the aggressiveness, aggression in you.
No. Well, those are just theoretical ideas where people start that there are 9 emotions. There's only one emotion, that is love.
That is love.
The rest are just misinterpreted intensities of love. Those are just misreflected intensities or shadows of love. Music can never make you aggressive, or else you're listening to something else and thinking it's music.
Yeah. No, because the reason the reason I was telling, because the person I was talking to, generally the idea was, maybe when you play, when you're going on a higher note, you're actually strumming it hard. You're actually getting aggressive there. When you're hitting the drums, you're going aggressive there. So is it not that your aggressiveness is coming in a way outside?
That's how human beings think, that just the sheer intensity of things means that there's a violence in it. No. The play or the dance of nature is art.
Is art.
In dance, you might move swiftly, you might stamp harder. It's still art, it's dance. Wow. Like, these ideas are very, look from here, sir. Look from this point of view. This tiny planet, little creatures of very small lifespan, talking anger, big emotions, anger, music, and this and that. What it takes is one little another asteroid to hit this planet, destroy.
That's it.
What amount is your anger? What does your anger means to this existence where there's supernovas and there's stars dying and then there's black holes and all that? If you want to talk about the physicality of these expressions, it does not count for anything. Only one thing which we have the power of is love. That's immense.
That's immense. That's huge.
Yeah. In Latin, they say amor vincit omnia.
Mm-hmm.
Means love conquers all. Only one way you can conquer. If you're a conqueror, you love.
it.
You love the most.
Mm.
Alexander failed, Genghis Khan failed, Hitler failed, Napoleon failed, and so on. The list goes on. Who thought there's another way to conquer?
Yeah.
Anger. They thought anger is the
way to, yeah. Okay, yeah.
That's how you set up for your own feeling.
Wow.
And music is very far. Bismillah Khan, एक उस्ताद थे वो शहनाई बजाते थे, you know? He said a beautiful thing that राग और रंज एक साथ नहीं
हो सकते.
Ranj means just disappointment, not even anger, little bit of a negative thing. They cannot be.
And you talked about cosmic symphony.
Mm-hmm.
What is it?
Okay, music is when things happen in harmony. When it makes sense for 5 things happening there, 5 things happening here, 5 things being played there, and cello is playing something else, and woodwind and trombones and all that. But they come together into this living entity, which is so perfect.
Yeah.
And supports each other's existence.
Yeah.
Look around, like trees, just at this earth level.
Yes.
Trees, little grass, creatures, birds, and all. There's so much chaos.
Yeah.
But yet, just works out.
There's beauty in the chaos. Yeah.
And look at the planets which are set to particular vibrations, not as a vibration of a string, but they have a orbital timing, which is precisely set. These many hours, these many days, their revolutions. And beauties as these swirling galaxies spraying these lights and comets which have this long tail of light. It's a beautiful note.
Yes.
Only thing if you hear it from your eyes, not see it from your ears. So this is the cosmic symphony. You are the music. Like the idea that I will become a musician is a very feeble one. You are already the music itself, which is much grander than that. And how human beings will miss it in a lifetime, I don't know. But I think the blinds, they have to take off the blinds.
At the end of the day, we are all waves, nothing but a frequency.
Absolutely. And the good thing is that the frequency and everything that we are will sustain, will remain. Even if your awareness of yourself will perish, life will perish, but your fundamental existence is immortal because you're music. The vibrations will remain. And this conversation we are having, are part of this existence now forever.
Absolutely.
This is the cosmic literature we have developed.
Absolutely. Even if you're not there in the world, this will stay. Yeah. It's beautiful. Yeah. And since I have got so much experience listening to you, loving the experience, that beautiful journey, would you be kind enough to play something?
Of course, will be my pleasure.
Yeah, I'll be honored. It's like it's like a concert I mentioned. It's like a delight.
Concert for you.
It's like a delight for me.
I'm playing for you. Okay.
Thank you. Wow, beautiful.
Adab.
Thank you, Guruji. It was lovely. Matlab, wow, wow. Thanks again, Guruji, for your time today.
Abhishek Sahab, आपका बहुत शुक्रिया and it's my honor and pleasure and thank you for such lovely conversation.
Thank you so much. Before I end this conversation, I generally ask everyone, it's like, uh, everyone feel, again, I'm just saying this perspective, कि सबकी life में कुछ ना कुछ चल रहा है. Everyone has this, either they're busy, they're doing something, or let's say everything is going positive, but there's always still one thing that probably you wanted to work upon. I bring this question because a lot of people were like, oh, I've never thought about it. So I want to ask from your perspective, what is that one thing? Probably, everything in your life is going well, but you feel that, okay, I need to work upon this one particular thing. Could be a relation, family, could be music, could be anything. More time to focus on yourself, more, anything that probably comes to your mind, like, that you actually want to focus, you know.
I would just like to do more riyas.
Perfect. Okay. Yeah, that's
I
good.
definitely need more
More
riyas
riyas.
and I just need to do more riyas.
Okay, perfect. Thanks again, Guruji, and I'm so thankful for the way you're actually doing this, and also trying to keep the tradition alive, the classical Sangeet alive, even though we're in Canada, and still be accessible to people who probably would not have access otherwise, because in a different country, it's not that easy.
Yeah.
Either you have to do it online or whatnot. But I'm so thankful to you, because thanks to you, everyone is still able to come here, practice, learn, and also continue the tradition, continue the classical Sangeet.
I'm grateful too. It's happening through me, and I get to have the very first-hand experience of this. It's a privilege indeed, and thank you so much, Abhishek.
Thank you.
Very grateful. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.